Hello everybody. In this webinar we're going to talk about WaziApps. Basically they are apps that are running on Wazigate, and so as I explained before, each app holds a container at least, and it can be more than one container in Docker system, and then they are actually running inside the actually on the Pi. So let's go for the first development. Basically just first hello world. Let's say I'm going to share my screen. So do you have your Pi's ready? And please open your Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to start this from the beginning. So here is my VS Code, and as I explained in the last session, we have here we need to install some plugins like SSH remote, like this one for example. This is a good one, and this way we can communicate to our Pi without like it's easy. We don't have to go through FTP or other mechanisms. So then when we install it, we see a green icon here. Do you guys see this part of my screen? You will click. Okay, you will click close. So when you click on this green button, as we explained, you can say that, for example, connect the current window to the host, and here you can add a new host if you haven't already added. You just simply write SSH, then Pi, @ then the IP address of your Pi. If your Pi is in the same network of your computer, and it's the only Wazigate that you have in your network, you can also write wazigate.local. Usually it works. I prefer have the IP. I just have more trust on IP, and because I have a couple of Raspberry Pis around, so I know which one to connect. So now I just connect to my Pi using that command. You have to write the password, which the default password is LoRa Gateway, and then we go basically we just log in. So now we have to open folder, and the folder for the app actually is we have to first go to WaziUp Gateway, which is here. Then we go to apps, then WaziUp. Then here we have the apps actually we installed, and they are developed by WaziUp. So we go to the Hello World Python, which is the app that we want to work with. So click OK. Then it lists all these basically files inside the folder, and we can start to work on it. Please, if in the middle of where I explain, if there is something that I need to explain better, or something is not clear, or you have any question, just interrupt me. It's okay. Before you want to see these things, I actually didn't start from scratch, because we had, I think, around 45 minutes or 1 hour in the last session, previous session, talking about this WaziApp and preparation. So if you don't have this thing, you have to go to your gateway. Basically you log in, you go to apps, and you click on this plus here, and then you install your Python. Because I have already installed this the app, I don't have it here. So you can have like JS if you want to work with an JavaScript app, or Golang, or if you want to have a custom app, you can just write the Docker image file here. So because I have the Python here, I have it actually under this installed apps. So we see some status like version and the name and things here. We will come back to this later. So when you install this, then you will have the folders here. The first thing we needed to do here is to prepare our this Hello World app to basically make another app. So we need to enable it for development. In order to enable for development, I have already did that here. So this line was commented. I uncommented this line, and then you just simply press like Control and S and save it. So when for the first time you install this through the panel here, and then you want to save or modify these files, it doesn't allow you. You need to first open the terminal. Basically here you go to View, then Terminal, or simply press Control and this tilde button. So this is the shortcut. It goes to the directory that we have already opened here. So then here you need to write like changing the ownership of your file, this entire directory to the pi. So then you can basically modify these files. Otherwise we cannot, because these files belong to root. So we just write sudo chown pi, like hyphen capital R, and then dot, which means, or dot slash, doesn't matter, means this folder. So when you hit enter here, this all the files here, basically these files, change the ownership to the pi, which is our user, and we can easily modify them. The next thing we need to do to go to this Docker file, and we have to uncomment this line and comment this line. And as I explained, this is just a simple Linux command which keeps it running forever. It never finishes. You see, I write ls, it finishes. We come back here. But if I write tile f, for example, dev null, it never finish. Only if I interrupted myself with Control C. So this keeps our container running. While the container is running, we get into the container and run the codes that we want. You can open another terminal if you want, but this is already enough. We don't need to have another terminal. You can either open another terminal here, or you can simply go, if you use for example Linux, you can open a terminal, or Mac, you can just simply write the same thing you had there.
Hello Muji.
Hello.
Hello Muji. Are you recording this session?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So maybe after the call, you could share the video so that we could go over in case we miss anything.
Yeah, but
okay,
if something is not clear, just please interrupt me and tell me right now, because I may be able to explain it better. So.
Okay, sure.
And if you have Windows, there are also tools you can install on Microsoft Windows and have some sort of terminal like this. Like for example Putty, I think, or if they call it Putty, I don't know how they pronounce it. Anyway, so what we need to do here, this is a Python code, but this is going to be running inside the container. So some of the things that you need to know about this Docker Compose file, this Docker file, and this Docker Compose file. Docker file basically has a set of instructions that are executing when the Docker Compose is building basically our image and then our container, of course. So when we are building an image, we say that okay, the base image, for example, is this one. This buster is a version of Raspbian. A slim buster, it's a bit slimmer, it doesn't have all the things, and it has Python installed. Somebody has already built this the same way that we are building our app, and then they pushed it there. So we have just used this name, we have it here. And there are some commands like copy, this means the current directory, this directory, and copy, this is inside the container. And these are some commands we want to install some tools because we need them. For example, we need curl, we need zip, and we might need some other tool as well. So I will explain them one by one when we need it. And then Docker Compose file is basically is actually a file that keeps the configuration of our app, our container in general. Every Docker container with Docker Compose, when we run it with Docker Compose tool, there is a tool called Docker Compose. So this is a tool. Oh, command not found. Yeah, typo. So this is basically the tool that actually we can manage the containers with. So what we need for our app is actually, one of them is the name of image. So here we can write the name of our team, our startup or organization, whatever we want. Then here the name of our app, and there is one tag here. This tag, we should keep it the same thing always. For example, you may call it production, you may call it some number or anything, it doesn't matter. But please keep it always the same thing. This is not a common practice for Docker Compose, Docker images. Usually they keep some version or some platform name and mixture with the version number. But here in WaziApps, we handle the versions with another file. So we need to keep this, because we had some limitations, we need to keep this the same name for all the version of the same app. And here we have the name of app. Of course, this is the name of the container. So if I want to know that what containers are actually being run on in the machine, I don't know how I can increase the font size here. So maybe I cannot, but I can open another terminal here. You can just use the terminal here, it's the same thing. I just open it here. So because LoRa gateway, so I want to show a bit larger. So if you write just like Docker PS, you see all the Docker containers running on the Pi. So these are the Docker containers. They have one ID. We don't care about this, and it has basically the name of the image. This is just like a name of image. You see, this is the tag that I was talking about. Some they use it for versioning, but we use it just to keep. Some they just write latest or any other name. It doesn't matter. We just keep it for ourselves. And here we have the name of the container. You see, this is the name of the container. I use a bit larger fonts, so it might not be very neat here. Anyway.
Quick one, Mojo.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Tell
yes.
Me.
So how do you? So that after the colon, it's the version name. How do you separate the? Let me say, if at all you have different. I don't know whether it applies here, like in terms of development environments, like let me say staging, production.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about it? Yeah.
So
maybe production or something. I don't know. Like in case you have different databases you want to hit.
Yeah. You can have different versions for yourself. For example, you can have it beta here, and you know that there are some Pis, some machines that they use this beta version, and it's only used for just to test it. And then you might have some production or any other name that you want, like just write final or latest is one of the common used name, so you can either use it or not. Basically, if you don't put any tag, the default tag is latest. So you can have this here for different version, like basically you just build your app, build your container, like you change this, then you go here, you write Docker Compose build. So you just build it, and it builds this the container using this image. I have already built it last week, so I don't want to waste our time, because we have just like a Pi 3 and it takes some time to build it. This is a Python, it's a bit large image. So then you can see Docker images. It shows all the images available on your machine, basically on the Pi, because I'm running it on the Pi. So you see I have this image, and this is the tag dev, and some of them have different tags. This one, for example, used Python Slimbuster. This is like the name of the platform, let's say. Some may want to use a name of like a version kind of thing, and then a platform, Alpine. Some may just want to use for version, but here, or like platform, or just latest. Here in WaziApps, we use it just to separate basically the different versions of, in terms of development, production, tests, and things like this. And here we have to keep it the same thing, because when we want to update an app, like here you go to this app manager, you see it says that there is an update for LoRa, for Python, there is an update for LoRa. When this basically platform here want to check for update, what it does, it basically goes to Docker Hub, which is hub.docker. So we have this Docker Hub. It goes to this Docker Hub and checks that if this basically image that I have here has changed. It checks the digest of this thing. So if I think we don't have this thing. Yeah, we have it. So it checks with the tag and everything here, and check to see that if this image has already been changed sometime. And if it changed, here for example says that the last time it was pushed 7 months ago. Okay, so if we use another tag, if I use like test for example, it doesn't check that one. Let me allow. So that's why we have to use the same tag, that like always, for this app. Anyway,
more like tracking any updates or what?
Exactly, yes, yeah, because we have limitation in Docker.
Okay. So I had a quick one relating to separation at the data layer. Like, for example, if let me say you had separate places where how do you do separation at the database layer, in case you have, like, let me say development,
yes, that's
production.
A good question. That's a good question. So the configuration files and the database files we keep always out of the container. The container itself is only for processing and nothing else. It doesn't keep anything inside. We should not do it. Technically you can do it, but we should not do it. That's why we use volumes, and we map some directory on the host machine to another directory inside the container. So you can add as many as you want here. There is also Docker volumes, which also you can also use that. This is just mapping a directory here. There's also another way to do it. And when you want to update an app, by default here, for example, even if you want to uninstall, let's say, here we have this option, keep config or not. If you have this keep config, basically Wazigate only removes the container and the image. It does not delete this folder. So this folder where you have this configuration files and like maybe some database or anything you want, they actually remain here. And if you install it again, it will install the latest version, and this data stays here. So this is how we keep the data separate from the code.
Okay, great. So in the volumes is where you actually even put the configurations for the different databases that you're using, MySQL or anything.
Yeah, anything. Anything. Okay. And this is actually a simple app. If you want to use, for example, let's say MySQL database, you need to have another container. You just use MySQL database and you have it here. For example, we just add another service here. which is for MySQL, let's say, and we just get the image directly from MySQL, or we use a Docker file to create that MySQL with some configuration that we want. We can have as many as containers here we want. In fact, I may be able to show you also LoRa. So basically Wazigate LoRa, that actually handles the LoRa communication on Wazigate itself, is actually an app. It's just an app like any other app that we have. Let me find its Docker Compose file. I think it should be here. Yeah. So you see, this is just another app, which is Wazigate LoRa, and you see it doesn't have a tag. It means that it uses the default tag, which is latest. And this is the main container. Then it has other containers as well, because it needs to use chip stack, network server, it needs to use application server, it needs to use some gateway bridge. Then it also has to use Postgres database. It uses Redis. It uses like different. It uses forwarders. Actually, the ones actually communicate to the LoRa module on the hardware level. So this forwarder container handles only the hardware. So, and you see they have also some volumes mapped inside it. And sometimes it's not only for writing data, sometimes it's just to use the functionalities of the host. You want to use dbus, you want to use GPIO, you need to map it inside the container. So, and an app can have multiple containers, multiple images, as you see here. This is just an example. It's just a bit more complex. And
okay. So in other words, when you mentioned something about Docker Compose being like some kind of like a manager of sorts. So it's from what you've shown there, it kind of also sounds like something to do with helping out in networking, because then I'm seeing Postgres communicating with something else, communicating with something else. I've seen in that file.
Exactly. And here we have this network for these containers. They have their own network, and we don't really want to expose all these things out to the outside world. So they have some network between themselves, and they know each other. And you can have also this network for your basically your application as well, if you need. Yeah. And here also there are these volumes. Actually, they are not in the folder directory. They are just volumes handled by Docker itself. You can also use it, or you can just map just simple directory to the container. So here so here we have these volumes, as I explained, because we want to use we want to basically go for development. We need to map this source code inside the container. There are other ways. You can probably have it on your own PC on machine, then compile it and push it to the Raspberry Pi. But this is the fastest way I found, at least for Python, because you don't need to compile, you just simply run it. So what we do, we go inside the container by writing basically docker exec, which is for Docker to execute a command on like inside the container. So basically first let me we have this. So Docker exec, then I want to have it interactive execution. Then I need to have the name of the container, which is this one here. So I just copy and paste it here. Then I want to have a shell, a Linux shell, or bash. Bash actually is more comfortable. So, it says that the container is not running. So we are going to docker ps. We see that if it is running, it seems like it's not running. So what we do, we just run it. We write docker compose up. If we just write up, it runs the container, and if the container does not exist, it creates the container and then run it. And if even the image is not existing, it tries either to pull it, or in our case, because we have Docker file and we give it like build path, it even builds the image, then creates container, and then run it. In the same way, we have Docker compose down. Docker compose down basically stops the container, stops a running container, all the running containers actually in the Docker compose file. You can of course give it a specific service name here. It just stops, it just applies on this specific container. We can have Docker compose down, it stops it and then removes the container. It keeps the image, but it just removes the container. So we just write up, and if you just use -d, it runs it in the background. So we will have the terminal in our hand to run other commands. Let's run it. In fact, when we saw it here, it was written as status exited, so it's not running. Okay, done. So now if we check a status, it must be updated. So where's the apps? Yeah, it's running now, and the health is starting. So as we showed this, yeah, of course it says that it's not running because the app doesn't have any APIs right now. We have to make it. So now here what we need to do, we just run the command I showed you, docker exec -it, which is for interactive, then the name of container, then bash. So what it does, it basically executes any command we have here on this container and shows the result. Because it's interactive, just the result is just to having a bash access in that container. Let me clear this. So this is what we have inside the container. So all what the stuff we have here is inside the container, and these folders actually are mapped to this folder in the root. So here are the files. If I go to /root/ let's say src, then I have all these files here. So now here we can simply run Python, one of the code that we want. So, or we just simply run Python and we have this thing here. And you know this. So about this Docker compose file, there is also couple of things I have to tell you. One thing is this privilege. When you run it as if you have it privileged true, it gives you more ability. It looks like, it feels like you're running your container as a root, so you have more access to system functions. If your application needs, you can just turn it to true. One thing I have to tell you is like when we modify this file, we don't see the effect exactly here. We have to get out of the container, like use docker down to basically docker compose down. Then we, for example, after running this, we can write docker compose off. Then it basically stops the container, remove the container, and builds it again. When builds it creates the container again, we will have the effect, basically this configuration affected. So let me get into the container. Okay, and of course the environmental variables you can also define here. Sometimes you need to have some configuration for your app. It's not for user, it might be for yourself or for some advanced users. You just write configuration environmental variables here, and those environmental variables actually are valid inside your container. So if I just go here, write for example this test var, you see the value is 1. And health check, I mean, it's not something that we have to care about right now. You can see all these with a lot of details in the Docker documents. It's basically just runs a command here, and if the output is 0 means like the container is doing well. So what we do, we have this like curl and say that, okay, try to open this path that we give it, because this is the path that we are going to expose our APIs. And if it fails, basically generates 1, exit, and like generates an error. And then here we can see that if the container is doing well in the health or not. So this is still testing, because we told it like try every 30 seconds for 10 times. So these are the things that we have it for. So let's do some coding. One thing before that, this package JSON, I already explained it in the previous session. So you just have your name, your version. This version is actually the one that user will see here, 100. So this is the version. Anytime you want to build a new version of your app, you should change this, because this is what user will see here. And after update, if you don't change the number, the code might be updated, but user don't see any change. They get confused. Oh, I did update, but why this number is the same? So it's always good for your reference and for user's reference to change these numbers according to the policy that you have. And yeah, the description of the app, and this is not implemented anything for yet. The author, your name, your group, and this is the icon of the app, like the icon that we have here. Like, see, because this app, it doesn't, like, this path is not accessible through the app's API, so it just doesn't show anything. It uses a default icon. This is the default icon by Wazigate. And then the menu. If your app has a UI, you should use this menu. You can use multiple menus, like pointing to different parts of your app if it needs. You just write the name of what label of menu here, for example, then the icon of the menu, and the path to basically your app. If you want to just open a UI on your app, you have to write like #/apps. This is a default standard by Wazigate. Then the name of your app. The name of the app is exactly the name of container, the one we have here. It should be the same. And then / anything like UI or like just nothing. It depends to your development. Just an example that I showed also in previous session. This, you see here we have this setting. When you click on it, this is system, and system is an app actually. So what we see here is like in the right panel loads, it's system app. Even these menus are not having to do, they don't do anything with this. They are not related. They just have same color, same style. And you see we have also sub menu for this system. If you click on Wi-Fi, it actually opens a sub module of our app. So it opens this one. And you can have as many as you need. So this is also another thing. And yeah, as you see, system also is an app, and we also behave to the edge, basically basically Wazigate firmware, like the backbone of this Wazigate here. The edge also we treat it as an app. It's not exactly like WaziApp like others, but we try to make it similar to others, so we can have updates, settings, and different things here. We cannot just uninstall this because these are system preserved app. So if you uninstall it, basically your Wazigate doesn't work. So this is also the menu, and now we can move on to our first Hello World app in Python code. If you have any questions so far, please tell me. Otherwise, you move on to the next step. No questions?
Hello? Just curious about the other health checks, the linkage from that Docker Compose file to that UI of the settings. As kind of, I'm just curious. Yeah, that is all. I don't know whether. How is it like some kind of like endpoint or something that you fetch when you go to that menu of settings where you see the health status and all that stuff. So I saw those details in the Docker Compose file.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious about how how that
we do
information is
this.
fetched here.
Okay, yeah. Actually, in this Wazigate Edge, we have a number of APIs. So if I just come here and write apps, you will see this is also an end API for this. Of course, I have to be logged in, and this, for example, is all the information about the apps. We have some APIs running in the background of the Edge that handles the app. So and here, for example, I want to know, let's say, about I don't know, where is the system. So this is the ID of the app, which is also the name of container. If I run like apps/Wazigate system, what I see here, you see, I see all the details about this app. Who's the author, the description, homepage, if there is any link or something, the name, the ID, and the state. Okay, is there any error? When was the last time it finished, like the health check, and like what's the image, if it is paused, what is the restart policy, like all the details, and also the version of the app, and yeah, the different like menu icons and everything. So actually system has a couple of icons, it's not only the two we saw, because here also under the help we have also this menu here as well. So, and each of these things here in the background we call Docker APIs to fetch the information and show it here. So if you want to know more information about this, actually I prepared a document recently, Wazigate, I think we are here in Wazigate, and then in docs I can send the link. So here we have how this apps mechanism basically works. Here I also explain like in details which function of the app manager does what. So you can also like go here and check it out. I can put this in the chat. So here is also the link. It is it's actually for developers, so you can just check it and get more information. And if you have questions, just return to me. Okay, so let's start our first app. How many of you, before that, how many of you have used some sort of let's say web service development in Python, like Flask, for example? Just raise hand, message, or just turn on your mic and tell me. Okay. So oh cool, so we have two people. Half of us have already used it. So actually the way the apps work in WaziApp, they expose a set of APIs, another one. Oh cool. So they basically expose an API as I showed you here. So for example, if I go to this apps, then we have this Wazigate system, and if I just write, I think it was net, so you see Wazigate system has its own let's say APIs. You see this net is actually an API of Wazigate system. This is an app, and /net is an API. So if I think, yeah, I write Wi-Fi for /net/Wi-Fi is another API of Wazigate system. So each app provides its own API end node ends, and here then it is called by its own UI here. So, and if I write just UI here is something that the developer of this app, like I actually used, this is myself, so this is just a UI, okay? And this is basically you see it's just HTML JavaScript UI, and on the background of this app they are actually calling the APIs. If I just open, I think we don't have anything written in console, in network, yeah, you will see probably. Yeah, it's checking Wi-Fi, checking time, if the internet like is working, because we have also internet checking. Because I zoomed in, you don't see. So yeah, you see this one, for example, periodically checks if internet is accessible. And so this thing is calling APIs of its own self, but the path of API is actually here. Like I have it, like for example net, I have this thing here, and here not for this, but for example for this system, this is actually a frame. This is an inline frame. Like this whole right thing is a frame that actually loads this UI inside. So you see, this is just the same UI here without this, because this right thing is just a frame. So and whatever we write, it just loads there. Here it doesn't run anything, it doesn't have it. But some apps, they have it. Like this one, for example, it's just another HTML file with JavaScript and stuff, loads inside this frame. This is also loads inside the frame, and the same thing for different apps. So so what we do, we just make one app with an UI that we want. Can be JavaScript, can be HTML, can be anything we want. And when we write in the menu of like this package.json, when we write here the path, it just points to that path, and just click and just bang, open it inside this this frame. So all we need to do is this. Is it clear so far, or because I want to move on?
Yes, clear. You can move on.
Okay. So now we go to the next stage. So if, for example, I want to call here net/Wi-Fi, I want to know that how's the status of Wi-Fi in my Pi, which is done by system. It's just like this JSON output, says the status and things and some other information. You see, from an outside user, it's like I'm calling this endpoint API on the host. You see, it's the /apps, then a /something else, then a /something, then it's the. Of course, from myself as an app developer, I just have to have this. I don't have anything else to do. I just have this, and if I just Wazigate system, I can show you where this thing actually sits. So API.go. So what I have, so this is basically the API that I just showed you. Inside the code is get, net, Wi-Fi, and this is basically the function. It just calls this function, is this one, and generates JSON file. So as a developer, I don't have to care about that. But just to let you know how this connection works, it's basically there is a proxy inside the edge, and the proxy reads this. For example, this is the app ID as an input, and then transmit this proxy, proxy this API to the internal side of the app. If I'm not sure if I explained it well. So it's just like calling another API internally and then transfer the result to the outside world. So from user point of view, we see this, and this is just it's seamless even for developer. You don't have to care about login, to care about difference. So for example, if I log out here, so I'm logged out, this also doesn't work, because in the system app I don't have to care about this thing, because I'm a developer. I don't need to care. But the edge itself will care about this thing. It generates different things, you see, it handles the authorization, handles different things, so we don't have to care about this thing. What we do to just make a better performance, instead of just using, let's say, TCP proxy, like what we see here is just a TCP request. It's like TCP, like over HTTP request. We have this request is actually going here. So in order to have better performance, instead of TCP, we use Unix sockets. So the Unix socket, we have HTTP over Unix socket. And to have that, I tried to come up with something that worked with Flask in Python. Didn't find anything, and couldn't configure Flask to use Unix sockets. Probably nobody has ever wanted to use this. Flask didn't have this functionality. If you guys know how to use Flask for this thing, just let me know. So instead of that, I just wrote a piece of library here that actually handles this thing, like handle, get, post, delete, and maybe others you can also add here. And this thing is called Unix socket. I wrote it this way, and I just have to import it and use it. So just have it here, and I give it the address of the socket, because how we tell the host where is the shared let's say memory is this socket file. So this is root app. It's just a name. I wanted to call it this way. It doesn't matter. And here for the production, of course, for production we comment out this line, but this line always have to be somehow mounted, like this volume has to map to the root document here, to the root directory of the app. And what we do, we have this, let me close that. We have this root app proxy.sock. This proxy.sock is actually a default name for the proxy that is actually accessed also by the edge. So what this edge is doing, it just reads the entire thing, finds the folder of this app, because it's structured this way, finds the folder of this app, and then calls this API over the proxy that is inside this. So as a developer, you don't have to care about this thing, because this is handled by the edge and it's just doing it itself. I told you just to know that how this underlying system works. So what we do as a developer, we just write a function similar. I try to make it similar to Flask. Of course, it's not. It still needs a lot of improvement and love. If you guys also can contribute to it, would be really great. So what it does basically, you just simply write your own function. It gets a URL and body, and it routes with, I tell him, okay, route the slash to this function. Route, for example, here I have it also accepts this regular expression. I tell it route all this slash UI, whatever after this go to this function. Also post request, and like this is also another function, time. So I want to tell anything slash time, go to this function. And then of course the main, so we just start this library. So what I do, I first go to root src or root app, it's the same. Then write Python, and the name of this file is main. So I just try to run it. Yes, so it's without error, so that it's binding here. So if I want to call, let's say, slash time in our app, so what I do, of course I have to go to this, the name of the app was slash, I just use browser so you will see it clearly. So this is about our app, and if I write time, you see it is calling the API, and here also it shows that okay, /time is called and it's 200. So yeah, and as I said, you can also have some HTML files, what I like, similar to what I did here. You can have, and you can write whatever you want for your app. Another thing here is, yeah, /UI. We have a UI here, and when I have this thing, let me clear this. So you see here, I just made a simple UI that every 2 seconds call this /time API, and you see here the status of this thing. And yeah, basically this is the API. And yeah, for the post also is the same. If you want to do post, you just write a function and do that. So do you have any questions so far?
A quick one for the UI. I must have lost you a little bit. Is there any kind of framework that is guiding your UI? Or sorry, in case I missed that.
No problem. No. Basically, the UI is just also another function that I wrote myself. You can write yourself anything you want. It's just customized. It's not like like something that has to be this way. So any function that you call receives like a URL and a pointer at like basically the name of function. Here, what I said, for example, this unit socket dot route get. So I tell it every basically request, get request that is similar to match basically this string should route to this function. What it does, it route this URL and the body, if there is any body or something, to this function. So here in this function, I simply check that what is the basically the extension of the file that is called. Is it HTML? Is it, what is it? So then based on this, I just generate some the basically HTTP headers, and then I simply open the file and then read it, like basically write it to the output. It's just return like the status and the content and then the headers. It's very simple. So, and if it doesn't find, it just return this like as an exception. I mean, for UI, I just read files one by one and show it. This is something that I do. I know in Flask you have a bunch of libraries and other things to do with it, but because here Flask didn't work, so I had to come up with something that just had to be simple and work. And so what I want, if you guys all don't have any other question, what I want you to do is to open your UI, your VS Code, and try to run this thing, to try to get into your container, prepare it like the way I think last week we prepared it this way and we built it. So if you have the information from last week, so you just need to run your container, get into it, and then run this Python code. So I go mute for a few seconds, for a few minutes, and you guys, if you have any questions, just tell me. Moment. Yeah, tell me.
Okay. Yes, I was about to speak, but Emma, I see your hand raised. Do you want to say something, or I continue?
No.
Just giving chance to another. Okay, great. So yes, so yeah, at the moment, you know, we kind of we've been working remotely, and you know, and we kind of shortage of gateways. So mine is with Emma at the moment. So I wanted to kind of try out these things using my laptop. I already have the kind of that stuff installed. I was wondering if that is okay, if at all I proceed that way, just to kind of get the gist of things.
If it works, if it works, it's okay.
Okay, great.
It should work because we don't use any like hardware thing or like system APIs at the moment. Shouldn't be any problem.
Okay, great. I think even the other time I was able to successfully run the container,
Okay.
in the previous session, so it was good.
Great. Okay.
Hello, Moji.
Hello.
Yeah, so I was wondering if perhaps one of the teams want to grab the sensor data or the actuation information directly off the gateway. Can we use the process you just explained, the Docker apps, to access that, and how do you advise we do that?
Sure. Actually, this is like the first step towards that goal. So first we do it like this, because this is your app. You want to process something and visualize something. For reading data, you can actually call the APIs of other apps, including the Edge itself. So when you run this thing, I'll also check the APIs right now, and then we can call also Edge APIs. Let me show you also on my screen. You still see my screen, right? Okay, so
yeah, I can see your screen.
Under the help, we have Edge APIs, we have System APIs. And if, for example, let's say in your app you want to have, let's say, a list of devices, list of sensors or whatever, so you just call this API /devices. You can actually call it. So here it shows that, okay, I have only probably no actuators. I have this like device without sensors and without actuators. So you just need to call /devices, and that's it. So nothing else you need to do. If you have your app has a UI, basically, because the UI is running on the edge, right? So just to show you how it actually come up, so you can in the meanwhile you can do it. So I'm going to install this hello world JavaScript, and to show you basically this is just a JavaScript sample app, hello world app. And JavaScript, like, I mean, in general JavaScript is running in the browser, so I'm not talking about Node.js and the background like server side. Just simple JavaScript is running on the browser, and from the browser it actually calls an API of system. So let it to install. It takes a while. In the meanwhile, please, you try to do the things that I explain you. Try to configure your app and run it, and then see the result.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was asking mostly for the startups, because some of them ask me from time to time if sometime in the future they can do that, because they would love to maybe build a mobile app that directly connects to the Wi-Fi, the same Wi-Fi the gateway is on, and then locally controls actuators that are out there on the field.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than
they
have
can
it
do
go
that.
all the way to the
Exactly.
control
Now I'm
there.
going to show you. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
So, Edgar, you wrote Flask with request library. Can I like somehow is this for the Unix sockets? Like not calling Unix socket. I'm actually I want to expose the API on the Unix, like serving in the Unix socket. Is it possible with Flask?
Hey Moji, I haven't tried it yet, but like microservice on the Wazigate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll give it a try and we'll let you know. But I think it should work. I think
it would be great
work.
if it works. Would be really great. We can improve this library, or we can just simply make another one and use Flask, because Flask is well tested and it's really good library.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
At least we can only use the request library. Only in the like in the example you are showing. Just like install the I don't know how to install a library in the container, but if we manage to install the request library, we can just call it and pass it the API and get data back. Like the thing I've tried to do is to the authentication, like authenticate with the API on the. I've used the API on the clouds.
Okay.
And I managed to authenticate.
Yeah, but usually they use HTTP over TCP. Is it like what actually we want here is to have HTTP over Unix socket instead of
over Unix. Yes, this one I haven't tried yet.
Yeah, if you can try, I think would be really great if it works with Flask, because I tried some like long time ago when I was like developing this thing, then I didn't find, so I just made simple request with this. Actually, this Unix socket is very simple library. It's like hardly 100, even less than 150 lines. So yeah, it actually just you see the code. So even if the with Flask doesn't work, please feel free to contribute to this code and improve it, make it better, because it just handles the simple things. At the moment, it's really not mature.
Okay. Yeah, okay. When I was asking with Flask, it is just because I haven't understood very well how to use the usesocket.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I can see that the usesocket is. I think it is more lightweight than the Flask and the request one.
Yeah. This one is because it's just very simple. But Flask is like more powerful if we can use that. And also many developers, I think they are used to using Flask. So anyway, so did you guys do that? So let me it was no, we have APIs here. There's the main. Go mute. Yeah, I can hear you. Tell me.
Yeah, I was wondering if I could probably just kind of share my screen and I go through what you want us to try out.
Sure,
Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Yeah, because I just want to. I'm also as it confident with where I was. Can you see my screen?
It's coming on the way.
Okay.
Yes, now I can see.
Okay, perfect. So I cloned the repository and I have it on my machine. There you go. I don't know whether you're able to view let me make it a little bit bigger for all to see. You're able to see my repository. So I'm right there, and I wanted to run the commands that we were talking about here. Did you request us to go to the? Are we in the UI directory, or we are around Docker here and doing the whole development stuff here? Trying all the development.
So you have to uncomment this one, and then comment the other line.
This. Okay. There you go.
Then in the Docker compose file also.
The compose file, which is right here. Yeah,
you have to uncomment
we uncomment for development. The volumes.
Yeah. It maps it to the source, so you can simply.
Okay, great. Oh, so
you
this
don't
is
have to uncomment. No, you don't comment this. Yeah. Keep it like this.
Okay. Great. Okay, great. So what was the purpose of uncommenting this again, if I may ask?
So this is actually maps the source code to the directory inside. For Python, we might not really need that, but for some other actually codes that we compile, we need this. So because for the other codes, we just keep the binary inside the root app, and we have the source code outside, which we want to edit it. So.
Okay, I get it.
So not very necessary for Python. So Anyway, then
Okay.
you build your container and then you get inside that.
Okay.
Now,
I usually like building using I like doing from outside the what, but I think I can use this comment. Is it tilde? Command tilde to get the
which
command
one?
shell for this. Is it command tilde or something to get this shell?
Yeah. It's control.
Command control.
Yeah, you saw. Yeah, here terminal.
Terminal.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they don't move back and forth.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So yes, I'm there.
Just
So now I run which
docker-compose. If you haven't built it, you just need to build it. Otherwise, you just write up and -d.
Okay. Up then -d.
-d. Yeah, is better. It
Okay,
runs on the
great,
back.
great.
Even if it doesn't exist, it will build it.
Okay. Okay, great. I think I
So
created it earlier, so we are good. Okay.
Yeah. So
And
yeah.
then,
Now because you changed this, so it recreates it. It's good. So
okay.
now you can just get into it with the shell command, either here or there. It's the same. So you have to write
Okay.
docker, then exec, then -it interactive.
Interactive. Okay. Great.
Yeah. Then you write the name of the container, which is right there in the file, WaziUp.hello world Python. You see, you can just copy and paste it.
So right here. No, the
This is
container.
the image name. Yeah, the
Container.
container.
Okay.
Exactly.
Great. The naming convention for the container, it's organization and
It's usually organization dots, then the name of the app. Like you usually give it this name. Then
Okay.
you, at the end, you put a space and then like bash or sh. Bash is better. It's better to use a small, yeah. Okay. So now you're inside the container. You go to the directory like a /root / src or app.
bash root, cd root,
You have
right?
to, yeah, cd root, cd either app or src. In Python, it's the same. Python app is the same. Okay, now you can run Python main.
That, right?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I run it. So now you have this. You go to your machine. Because this is not serving on TCP, you cannot just have it on your browser. So you need to make a Unix. Yeah, you need to make a like with curl you can have it. If you just Google it, curl request to Unix socket. So. So it's something.
I'm wondering, I'm seeing get requests 200. I don't know where those requests are being made from.
I'm not sure. Maybe somebody has hacked you.
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
You have localhost, for example, time function. It should be something like this. Try this, like curl Unix sockets, and that path you have to change it to the path is var run MySQL. You have to change it to the path where your container is, your repository is.
Okay. So I'm right here. It's my repository,
Yeah.
right? So I do this, and then?
Yeah. Then you have to basically change that path, the where it's written my Unix socket and var run. I think you can just like change it to just delete it to the current directory. You can just write, I think, proxy.sock. I'm not sure if it exists. Probably it exists, we don't see it. I don't know. Yeah, it exists. Proxy.
Oh, it's here. Proxy.sock is here.
Yeah. This one.
Proxy.
Sometimes I had. Yeah, sometimes I had issues. I had to give it a full path. Let's try. It should work. Sometimes it works. Sometimes I don't know why.
Because the autocomplete has refused. So I'm wondering why it has refused. I don't know. Does it work here? Autocomplete in the path? Because I've tried to
Not
hit
sure. No, just try to hit enter. See it works. Couldn't connect the server. So try the full path. Like just write pwd and then you will get full path.
Okay. Let me first get it here.
Yeah, now
This
we
time?
can. Copy and paste is always easier.
Yeah. Sounds like a good could actually make a song out of copy and paste. Okay, so
Yeah.
where are we?
Then
So I think
no, I think then you just have the path. Then you have to write proxy.suck as well at the end of the path.
okay, at the end of the path,
Yeah.
proxy dot sock, enter, and connect to the server. Could it be because I'm running? Could it be related
Maybe
to this?
I think you need to use sudo. Just try to
Okay.
use sudo. Probably. I'm not sure.
Try that. Let me try that.
Sometimes it.
Sudo. Okay. Sudo cal. And connect to server.
Didn't work.
Proxy.sock. Localhost time.
Try to remove the time, but I mean it's the problem with the server. It's not really with the API. Or maybe we should write somewhere it's like a get request or something like this. You can write like I don't know hyphen capital X somewhere.
Where?
Get, and by default it's like just before the Unix socket or. I mean
Like where?
by default it's get like before the Unix socket. So just right after curl.
So right, get lowercase, right?
All
Right.
capital case, all caps, X. You have to write hyphen X then get. All capital. No. I have to put the hyphen X before get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, I mean it's by default get, but I don't know. Let's try. Yeah, sometimes it happens, so I don't know how to.
Is it possible to find out? Is it possible to find out? How do you find out? How do you test that the server is running? Okay, it's running, right? Because of this.
Well, here it says it's running, and there are some requests. I don't know from where this request is coming.
Yeah. True. It's a bit strange.
Yeah, because it's just a socket. Okay. So, yeah, you see here also there is like this Unix socket. In the healthcare also there is like a sample of how you call this thing. But anyway, so this is the way you should. Something like this. This is the way it should be tested. Probably this is the one actually is calling, and this 200 request is from this test. It's running 10 times every 30 seconds.
Yeah, makes sense. Because I was wondering where,
I was also thinking how.
Okay.
So maybe inside the container you can call it, because from the inside it's accessible. I don't know why it's not. If you just stopped it. So you just run it, and then
I run the command from here.
Yeah. You have to run first this Python code, because
I run the call, right?
Yes, you have to run, but first you have to have your server running. You just stop the Python code.
Yeah.
Just write Python, then put like 1 ampersand at the end. It never stops. No. That's main.py.
Okay.
Yeah, then 1 ampersand. so it runs in the background.
Like that?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
So you will have the terminal. Just enter. So you have the terminal. You just have it. Just hit enter. You will have it.
Okay.
So now just hit enter once, like, or right. Yeah, you have the terminal.
Perfect.
So
Okay,
it's running.
So it's now running in the background.
So then, yeah, just the path of that proxy.sock, because you are inside the container, it should be root app. So
it should be root. Let me first see.
You can just copy the thing from there.
Okay. So it's root. Let me first see. It's root app. Okay, but I've seen it here. So meaning now I just put wd root app. Okay. So I copy this, then I put the path here to sock.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, this thing is continuously kind of coming up, showing up.
Because you have one terminal. I mean, there is also one way to stop not showing results here, but when then you call it, you expect to show the result. I mean, it's just a mess. If you have two terminals running, would be like a bit easier.
Is there a possibility of first stopping this test for some time, just for this check?
Yeah, you can. If you comment the entire health check, would be good. You can have this thing, but you have to then recreate. Yes, then you have to get out of your container and recreate your container again when you modify that file.
Is it exit sometime?
You just press Ctrl D, it goes out. You don't need to write. I think exit also would work. Just press Ctrl D and it goes out.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So I'm going to run
just write docker compose up. Yeah, it will like recreate, or you can write down then up. So if you want.
Okay, yeah, because I think it just needs some hack. Okay, and then I execute the interactive mode, right?
Yes.
Okay.
If you hit Control. Okay. Yeah. Now you just copy the one in the test. You see, it's written. This one. So you just change the path. Just go back and change the path to root /app.
App.
Yeah, /app. So now at the end of localhost, you can also write like a /time, because you can just call the /time. So you can call the time API. Yeah, you should be able to see the time. Yeah, it did. So you see, this is the output, February 22. So because you're running on your own machine and you don't have Wazigate Edge. If you have Wazigate Edge, you can also run Wazigate Edge on your machine as well. If you have that,
do I?
Yeah,
no.
You can have it. I'm not sure if with path and things you might be a bit tricky, but usually it's possible.
Kind of virtual kind of running it in virtual kind of thing, or I don't know.
No, just like the same way you're running this container, because Edge also is another container.
Okay.
You can run it if in its own path. It's a bit tricky. I mean, you need to work a bit around it, but it's possible you can do that. So everybody else did this? Did you get did you run the code and get the results? Let me share my screen.
Yes, Moji. It was from.
You did? Okay, so we have this JavaScript app installed here, a sample app. So, do you see all my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So here we have this JavaScript, it's running and it's healthy, so cool. If we click here, you see this JavaScript is actually calling, let it call again, 5 seconds. It's calling an API of the system. I'm not sure if it is too small, so it's calling the scan API of system. This is a totally different app, but it's calling system app. So how it calls slash app and all this, because we can simply call any app by calling this thing: apps, Wazigate, WaziUp, Wazigate system, net, Wi-Fi scan. So this basically scans the Wi-Fi around us and shows the result. So we can, let's practice this thing and call the Wi-Fi, like see the Wi-Fi networks around us in our API. Let's make an API together and have it to show all the Wi-Fi's in our basically Pi. So we can just simply take one of these functions and like duplicate it. So just let me call it Wi-Fi, and here I call just Wi-Fi, the name of function also Wi-Fi. So Y test. We can also test it here, have the Python main, then we go here in our app and call Wi-Fi. Okay, so we have the result. So now we want to call basically this function, which is the basically the system, which is another containers function, and then we can have the result. With the same mechanism, we can have also the devices and things. So let's call it first this way. I found this, yeah, import. We can use request or any other mechanism that you prefer. So let me open like add request here. Then here we can have request.get, because it's a get this. So I have it. Then let's say result here. I can have like try exception as E, for example. If there is any error, just like print error, or just okay, yeah, just print error, and return, let's say 500. Then it has to be binary, the output, so I just write error, and these are the headers. Otherwise we get, for example, res.text, I think should be okay. I'm not sure if this is correct from Python point of view. Let me see, it gives some errors. Oh, no module names request pip install requests. Can we have this here? And one thing here I have to mention, if you install something in your container here, then when you, for example, go and recreate your container, all these things will be removed. It's not there anymore. If you need something to be permanently installed in your container, you have to go to this Docker file and add it here. So for example, we have this some installation here, then I can have another line like this and say that, okay, install this. You can, of course, instead of writing this, like, it's more beautiful to write run pip install, but this is from performance point of view, this is not very optimized, because Docker, for every instruction we write here, creates a layer of image, so it takes more time to build it. I just like try to keep these commands like in one, like as minimum as possible. So
Plus,
I'm
a
just
quick
installing.
one. You mentioned that every line it creates an image. Could you clarify on that? Maybe I
It's
missed
a
it.
layer. Yeah,
A layer.
when you
Oh, yes, a layer.
yeah, when you build it, it creates one layer after one layer. Of course, after it builds it, by default, next time it uses cache. But if you can use the minimum number of these, just try to use the minimum. Like the less, the better it is. The less, the more optimized it is. Like it's faster to build your image. Because we are working on a Pi, so if we have less, it's better. It just saves our time. So let me run, see. Okay, so far it's okay. Let's see if it throws an error. So if I now call Wi-Fi, there is an error, of course. So no schema. Oh, yeah, you're right. I had to write probably localhost. Localhost. I'm not sure. From inside the Python, I've never used it. So let's figure out together. Okay, another error. You see, small. Python convert string to byte. How do you do that? Convert Python string to byte. What if I try it this way? So apparently this one doesn't find the API here. Okay, so finally it works. Okay. So everybody sees that what I did here?
Moji, how do
Yeah.
you manage with the byte and the strings?
So
Okay.
what?
Okay. Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
because I just googled this, so because the output of this, basically the request receives only in bytes. So I
Yeah.
have to send the status bytes. Then if I have some headers I want to send, let's say JSON or whatever header, I just write it here.
Okay.
And here I am like using this Python app, and then I call the API of another, let's say another system, another API, another container. So what this container does, what this API does, basically it just scans the network, see what API, what Wi-Fi's are, what Wi-Fi networks are around me. So it just finds them and return it. And in the same way, we can have also let's say I just make a copy of this thing. I can see, for example, I want to see what devices are actually in this what, let's say, the sensors, the actuators. I want to see which are them are here. So let's have a list of sensors and actuators. I have here, please everybody just pay attention to this. So I have here system APIs, which one of them we just called. So we have this is the path that we have to put. What I just used used this one. So yeah, just to scan to see that which Wi-Fi networks are around me. And we have edge APIs. For example, your app can even like write something on the OLED screen of, like, you know, some of the, like the new version of Wazigate will have also OLED display on the Pi itself. So you might want to write a message like, okay, something is okay, something is wrong or not. You want to show a temperature, whatever you want in the OLED. So you can also use this. So there are these APIs available for the system. You can even reboot the Pi. So, and then we have edge APIs. Edge APIs, actually here we can have these sensors, devices, even the device ID, the gateway ID, basically what the different things. So let's have a list of devices. So it's like /devices. Here I just made one endpoint here, for example, like just devices. It can be any name, and I actually map this endpoint which is a GET request, map this endpoint to this function which I also call it devices. What I'm going to do, I'm going to have this API /devices, because I just want to have a list of devices here, devices. And because I have this Wazigate-edge, so it knows that where to find it. Why it knows that? Because in Docker Compose file I have actually added the Wazigate network to my Docker Compose file, and then I built it, so it knows that where to find it. So I just use simple like Python request, so just request get. Of course you can use post, you can use others, it's just up to you. And it depends here, you can use delete or whatever you want. So now let's have a list of devices. I have this thing here. Of course I have to stop this Python and run it again, because it's not like Flask that actually in debug mode you can like keep it, it just runs itself when you save the file. So because this is a simple library, it doesn't monitor that. So I like we write devices. So you see we got the devices list. Please do that and see what devices you have on your gateway. It is good if you have already created some devices. If you have any question, just turn on your mic and ask.
Yeah, Muji, after building the container, to install the request library, have you managed to do it when you were root? After launching the app, the Hello World Python app.
So
yeah,
inside the container, usually when you get inside the container, you are root. It's not like the user management. Maybe some containers have, but the containers that we use, it's already one single user. So you just write like pip install request and it just installs it. But make sure you have it like this. Is of course we are just trying out, we are learning, but just for the purpose like to develop the app, you're seeing my screen, right? You need to have it in your Docker file somewhere. You need to have it here in future, because you want to build it and you want to make sure all the libraries and tools that you use in your app will be available always. So because we are just trying, we are just developing, so here we might need to install something. We always have to have a look at here, and like anything we install, just to have it here as well.
Okay.
Just to update our Docker file, always, for all the apps. It's not only for this Python app.
Okay.
So yeah, and then the APIs, the APIs is just like really a simple request get. I don't know why still curl is not working on my no, it's not working. Something is wrong with my Pi, definitely. Anyway, so thanks God this part is working. So this and one thing I have to mention also, because we are inside the container, it's you remember when I log out here, it showed that it's unauthorized call, so because we have to log in. But when you're using an app, like you're developing from inside an app here, actually it puts the app in the whitelist, so you don't have problem with authentication and permission and things. You just write your APIs, it doesn't matter. Wazigate Edge will take care of it.
Let me try to. No measurement request, okay.
Okay guys, how many did manage that?
I think yeah, it's yeah, and then also kind of yeah, along the way I realized I needed to also have like some kind of, when we started the networking aspects of things, I think I needed to have a gateway with me. So I think yeah, probably I'll need to prep. You know, but this has been good. Thank you very much. It will be very beneficial for you when I yeah, finish.
Okay, if you just run it on a Pi, like having like Wazigate on that would be a lot easier. You don't have to manage a lot of things.
Okay, great.
On PC it's tricky. So
yeah, true. I've also realized.
So
Okay.
yeah, this is basically how we can call an API. You can have post, you can have get, and yeah, Prince is back. So did you also do that, Prince? And Edgar?
Sorry, my network here is very bad today. I don't know if it's because of the weather. So I find it difficult to stay on for more than 5 minutes. I stay on and then it just disconnects.
Okay.
I have to connect again.
Okay. So yeah, the simple way, let me explain again. So to the simple way to, I think I have to share my screen. You don't see my screen.
Yeah, Moji, can you share back your screen, please?
Yeah. So I'm trying to share. Okay. Entire screen. Okay. Do you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So in order to call other APIs, like the APIs of other applications, let's say, because as I said, Edge and System also are applications, are other applications. So what we need to do, we need to go to their network. The Wazigate network, how we add it here, is actually the network for the Edge and for the System and for others. So what we need here, we just add the network of Wazigate here. We say that okay, this is the network, so our app also will go inside that network. So then of course, after we modify this file, we always have to rebuild. We just go docker up again, docker compose up again, and it recreates the container. We don't have to build the container from scratch. So then what we need to do, we need to go here in the dashboard of the Wazigate. Under the help, we have this API documentation of System and the Edge, both of them, and there are a variety of APIs we can call for each of them. So we can have this like different things for devices, for actuators, for sensors, for authentication, for anything we want related to the gateway. And of course we can handle them, manage them, list them, and like push the values to the devices. And of course Edge will push the values to the cloud as well. So you might need, for example, you want to have, I don't know, 5 sensors, you want to collect all the information, you get the information from here, you process it with some formula that your customers want, and then you generate a value out of the process, and then you push it to the cloud. You want to push it to cloud as a new value, as a new, let's say, aggregation of some sensors. So you just simply push it as another device, and then you will have the value of another device. Then you will have it on the cloud as well, because what Wazigate Edge does, whatever value you push here, it just sync it with the cloud. Of course we have to configure synchronization here. So we find the APIs we want. For example, as a sample, we got here the devices. What we need to do, we just write the simple request get of Python. You can use any other thing, it doesn't matter. So we just write this request get, for example. It can be post, can be anything you want, and then HTTP. So we have to write this Wazigate -edge. So until here, because we are in the same network, it can recognize where it is. Then after that we have this. So for example, /devices, we have it here, and then we just call it. So we tell this Unix socket that we have here for the to route all the GET requests under this path to this function. And what this function does, this function basically have this just call this thing, and when it call, we have it here. So I just refresh and we get all the list of devices here with this, like the call that I just did. So this is how we do it. We also did another function for Wi-Fi as well. So I just call it Wi-Fi. What it does, it takes a bit because it calls another API of Wazigate system, which scans all the networks around the Pi and finds all the available network and return a JSON value with the name of them and the security if they have any, and the strength of the signal. So you can also, like as I said, you can also try all these different functions, different APIs here, and you have the full path of the API that you need to put in your code. So anything can be, like, we can do anything you want here. As I said, for example, here this is Wi-Fi scanning. This is just we tried. You can even try it here, and you can see that what will be the expected value. So here is the expected value is the same thing that we got here. So basically that's it, how you make an app with Python for Wazigate. And and this is how you call other APIs, which you can create devices, you can manage devices or sensor values, read them, write them, delete them, whatever you want to do is possible through APIs. You can make really nice visualizations, or like basically it's very flexible. Okay, so thank you everybody for joining today, and please stay in touch, and you have any question or something, we have WaziUp forum. Please encourage your team members to participate in WaziUp forum.
Okay.
WaziUp.io, I believe this should be the address. So yeah, that was the address. So just post any question you have there, and we will handle them, we will answer them. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Is there any question remaining?
No.
Or comments?
For me,
or
it is okay. And thank you, Moji. And I think the thing is to get more practice about, because we
exactly.
Yeah, all the tools is there. You just have to practice more and to know how to manage things, API with different languages. It will be if you can have a React version, it will be appreciated. Like if you can have just 1 hour of React, I will.
It would be nice. We have already a JavaScript Hello World app, so we can like maybe improve it to have a React over that.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. That's also a good suggestion. So we'll consider it. Thank you.
Thank you, Moji.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.